Greetings and welcome back to the lab. I've been working on a lot of 3D printing lately, and this is what this is this is actually filament. So if you're not familiar with 3D printing, but you're curious, I'm going to try and come up with a video sometime soon. Uh, Probably like a 5-minute or so video, just kind of giving you an introduction to 3D printing and how to get started. Uh, I'm not an expert in 3D, but I've figured out how to get started, and I'm trying to help somebody else figure out how to get started. So it makes sense for me to go ahead and do a video. I can help my sister-in-law on that one. But that is what filament looks like. And then what you do is you run it through the printer and it heats it up until it's molten. And then you can develop things like this. This is one of the first ones I did, actually. I think one of the very first ones I did. Hopefully I won't bump the camera too much. Is this big honking thing. Now, this is using a translucent filament. Actually, that's what this one was. It's going to be kind of hard to tell on camera, but when you build something bigger with it, if I try to shine light through it, I do that, you'll see how easy it is for the light to shine through it. So the idea is I was trying to build some light-based projects, and then I had an idea and I was going to do this whole new project. What's happening is that project is morphing into another project. This is the second morph. So this is the lab update just to tell you kind of what's going on and why I haven't dropped a video on it yet, because I'm trying to get everything set up so that I can be prepared for a good, clean, simple video without a ton of explanation like I'm doing right now. So let's put this aside amongst all the other miscellaneous stuff. So I showed you that. That one's actually a misprint. I screwed up my dimensions when I designed it, so it doesn't fit the way it's supposed to. Now this is a clue as to what I'm kind of headed for. And no, it's not the original. This is the morphed project. But you can see there's like a gap up here, and that gap's not really supposed to be there. There's an extra little bump here that's not supposed to be there. But one thing that did work was this, which is almost seamless it basically cab A in a slot B kind of thing. I guess it's usually cab A in a slot A, just so it makes sense. This one pops off. This is a half a dome. I have another half a dome that I printed, and I also printed, stuck into here, a little coupler. Now that was a partial solution to, if I want to do a sphere, I need 2 of these half domes, but I got lazy and I didn't want to do the male connection here. So I created the coupler as a female to female, whatever. Basically, it plugs together like this. And if this was white, we'd almost have a Pokeball. And I'm not really a Pokemon fan, but, I could see how they could generate Pokeballs as something you could do. It does actually roll, but it has that little groove, which will kind of make it wobble a bit. So I eventually plan to get to a sphere that doesn't have a visible seam. So that's what this was. This was going to be like half a sphere, and then I decided, well, okay, I'll print half of it. Actually, there is no coupling on here. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I actually did this just for itself, just for a half a dome. But after I did this big one, I then looked at what it was going to take, how long it took to print this. And it turned out that this was going to take quite a long time at this size. So I started playing around with reduced sizes to try and figure out what would work nicely in terms of a compromise between the time it takes to print and the number of things I can print out so I can start assembling things. And there are time limitations if you want to try. My local library actually has a lab with a couple of printers that I can go into. And so initially I went in, and the first thing I printed, of course, took way too long. I had to come back the next day to pick it up, kind of thing. I've now got that reined in. I've figured out how to get prints that take me less than an hour. And that's why I'm shrinking things down, because I've got to do a bunch of prototypes until I can get this locked in so I don't have this groove here. and I get everything to snap together properly. So this was supposed to be part of this pops out. This was supposed to be for the bottom of this, because this piece, if you're going to build something with electronics in it, you need a place to put batteries. And so that was the thinking on that one. And that's why there's this delay, is because I'm coming up with all the designs to figure out things like accommodating this battery. And I could put a second battery in there, but I have the wrong connector on it and a random piece of wire. So I got to get those set up. I got to start figuring out the electronics, and that's going to be one of the early parts once I finally get this going. So battery box, just an extension tube. So I can put the battery box on the bottom. Eventually, I want to put a circuit board in here so I can have the batteries. I can have the circuit board up above it. I can have lights on the circuit board. And those lights on the circuit board can shine into a ball like that. That was kind of what I was thinking. Something like that. Alternatively, if I pull this apart, ooh, the coupler stayed on the other side. Now I need to pull it out because the coupler, or the male version of it, is here. It's female on here. So I can push that together like that. And then once I had that, I had also thought about converting from the size that this was to the size that this is. And so I decided I needed to have a flared ring so I can adapt. So this actually has what's supposed to be a female connection on here. So I can plug something into here if I wanted it. So it's really, this is what's happened. It's morphed into a system. It's 50 millimeters on the inside for all of these. And what's supposed to happen is all these walls and little ledges are supposed to match up. They don't quite match up. I've found various problems. This, like I said, was supposed to be at the bottom here, but it turns out it's too small. So it will go in, and if I push really hard, I can get it in there, but then it's hard to get it back out. That doesn't exactly fit with this one, but it should. So all of that, and I found myself, let's put this together here and put it off to the side. I found myself redeveloping some of these. So I have got now a cross between this and that. In this one, it's the translucent, but it's smaller. And it should, in theory, fit on here, except that there are issues with this. It kind of fits, but it's too big now. So I was going to do this with another extension tube. And so this almost fits on the extension tube. I'm off by just a little bit, and I'm not sure exactly what went wrong. So I ordered up. I also did another one of these bottom pieces, and once again, everything's been scaled up slightly, and this is still too small. The walls are a little bit thicker, so it's more rigid. So these are all the things I'm figuring out. But I went ahead and I bought a set of calipers so I can figure some things out. Now, the last set of calipers I had was those cheap digital ones that you just need to set it, and then it'll tell you exactly. You don't have to read it. It'll tell you on a digital display. Problem is, the batteries for those things cost as much as another unit. So I decided to go to Amazon and order up a different version. We're going to find out together how well these work. They're also cheap, but they don't require batteries. It said plastic. Yep, I thought it was going to be metal in a plastic case. I was wrong. But I paid like $5 for these, so not too bad. If you're really curious, let me know, and I'll put a link in the description. But these should work like traditional calipers. And I should be able to take some measurements to figure out, get all your printout here. And so let's see. This is supposed to have an internal diameter of 50. So I can use them like this. It should be... Wow. That actually looks like... Oh no, actually that's 50. So I'm good there on that internal diameter. It should also be 50 on this side. Yep, looks like it's 50. I think this was with that one. Yeah, this is the thicker one. So this should actually have an external diameter of 50, so it slides in. And this is showing 50. Interesting. Okay, well, so in theory, this should mate to that. Oops, I got to do it the right side up. And it may well be that it's just so tight, I haven't been willing to push it together for fear of not being able to get it back apart. So let's check the others. Now, this has, oh wow, they've got the depth gauge too. There's a little metal piece that's popped out on me. Okay, well, this is useful so far. Almost $5 worth. Let's see now. This should be on the inside here, should match this here. And mercifully, this whole thing fits within the calipers because I chose that 50 dimension. But this looks like out of dimension is actually 53. The walls are supposed to be 3 millimeters thick. Oh, that's actually right. 53. It's 50 on the inside. Then you have 3 millimeters worth of wall, say 1.5 on each side. So that's 53. Now, is this 50 on the mating surface? I realize this may be difficult to see. You just have to trust me on. Looks almost like 52.5. And I know there's a way to read this even more accurately than just. Actually, no, that looks like 53. Looks like these two should actually mate. I just hadn't been willing to really push it. So we'll find out if it all cracks or what in a moment. It's just a really tight tolerance. Plus, these were printed at lower quality, so the tolerances are off. But the actual advantage there is that it makes it that much tighter and harder to pull apart. You want to do this for your kids? I can't necessarily recommend that. I don't want to be responsible, but you want to build a rocket ship? All right, I will come back to that. This is a smaller one, goes over here. Now this one, I think, has got the same problem I had before, where it actually fits beautifully in here, but not where it was intended. So if I'm right there, I'm correct in that understanding. This is 53, we just measured. This should be 53 on the outside of the upper ring. So let's see what it tells us. All right, I can see where plastic calipers have an issue. This was like 51.5 or 52. Oh, I'm in the wrong spot. I need more of a ledge. That should be right on 50, which is not 53. So if I actually take the dimension of the other side, and that's going to be a little tricky. I got to kind of rotate it a little bit until I find the high point. At that point, I think I'm somehow at like 52. But I've been fooled before. So if that's 52 out there, and this is 53 in here, it should just drop right in. It doesn't quite. It's a really tight fit, and I don't want to push it in and not be able to get it out. But it was supposed to do this. And it almost does. No, actually, no, I take that back. This was supposed to fit in here like this. And you should still see the white on the bottom. Kind of like that. If that makes any sense. So, this is where we are. This is what's happening to me. I've got to take these measurements carefully. I've got to go back and look at the code that generates the actual design files and then figure out, is it the printer or is it me? And it's more likely me. I just need to go back and revise them again, version 3, version 20, whatever it's going to take to get there. And that's why this whole thing is taking a while, is because I'm trying to do this as a sort of a system of pieces that you could form into anything you want. But I can put a couple of them together and then just reprint them later if I really need to. So I'm going to go back to the drawing board, literally, and look at what I'm doing wrong and try and figure out how I can fix it. See if I can understand the mistakes that I'm making so I can correct them. And that's pretty much it for now. I just wanted to give you an update so you understand kind of why it's taking me a while to get this project started. It's because it's morphed again. I'm hoping it doesn't morph again. And I eventually want to get to the orb project, what I'm going to call the orb. So we'll see. This is me saying thank you so much for watching. Until next time, we'll see you later.
We'll raise our voices high, in harmony we'll fly, sharing moments, spreading love, join the chorus sent from above.